Welcome everybody. Welcome to another Q&A. Today we are listening to some Trapped music. This is a really obscure game on the PlayStation 2, a spin-off of the Deception series, which are also a very obscure franchise that started all the way back on the PlayStation 1. The first game is actually an RPG. But the second and third and fourth games were no longer RPGs. They're very different, as a matter of fact. So, what are they? Well, they are, how can I describe them? You just play as a sexy girl in a few areas of a giant dungeon or castle, and then you set up traps for your enemies to walk across and get trapped in them and get slaughtered. You know, yeah, they're pretty dark games, gothic games, and they're pretty fun. So how are you, everybody? That is my review of the Deception plus Trapped series. Best review ever. Did you listen to Time 2 yet? Time 2? Time Baby 2? That's a song by Medicine. I don't know how it's properly pronounced, but that's a great band from the showgaze movement back in the early 90s. They appear in the movie The Crow, but they have a bunch of killer tracks out there. They never made it big though, never made it mainstream. The guitarist he tried to be John Lennon and kind of failed, you know, but they still released a couple of albums that are pretty damn good. So yeah, I've listened to Time Baby 2, but Time 2, I have no idea what that is. And I don't know what Winter Sun is. What are you talking about, man? Like, hey, have you listened to Error? You know, from the latest Deftones album? Why are you assuming that I like Winter Sun? Or I don't even know what the hell that is. Is that a metal band? Oh, it took 18 years to make. Oh. So the first question of today is there more games with recruiting party members like Suikoden and Fire Emblem? You've got Radiata Stories, which is pretty damn good. What else? You got some of the, no, because most of the characters in these games join you automatically. I was going to say the Trails series. They have a crap ton of characters, but you don't exactly recruit them. It's not like you got to do this or that. And there are some strategy RPGs where there's like, you know, if you go to this route, you recruit this character. If you go to this other route, you recruit this other character, like some of the Grow Lancer games. Or Jeanne d'Arc, you know, as a matter of fact, I was just doing that last night when I streamed part 7, was it? At the very end of the stream, I was like, oh, if you're gonna recruit this character, go to this part. This other character, go to this part, you know. But as massive as in Valkyrie Profile, you know, Valkyrie Profile is another one. The first Valkyrie Profile, the second one as well. But your characters, you know, in the first Valkyrie Profile, your characters talk. The characters you recruit have a scene, you know, and a little arc in there. But in the second one, it's just like, oh, he's been dead for 10,000 years and he joins your party. And you can go into the menu and read their chapters, you know, but that's all you do. You don't get any actual scenes or dialogue between them, which is kind of sad. You know, that was the magic of the first game. I still like the second game more, but if there's one thing in which the first game is better than the second game, is that. But yeah, Valkyrie Profile, man, the first one. Chrono Cross is another one that you recruit a lot of party members. But you can't recruit them all in the first playthrough. Anyway. Yes, Aristos, you can start with Grow Lancer 5. That is the game that I started with, personally. And it seems to be like self-contained because, you know, the first 3 games are connected. And then there's 4 on the PSP. Seems to be its own thing. Not related to any of the others at all. Takes place in a different universe even. And Heritage of War, which is the 5th one, the same. You know, it's like own thing, own continent, own world even, like nothing to do with the other games, so it's okay to start with 5. It's the best one. You'll be starting with the best one. Oh my god, my advice on the Chrono Cross Garai boss fight really helped you? So you beat the guy? You beat Garai? That's great. I'm glad to know that my advice helped someone. You're still processing about the trailers of the In the Sky remake. Me too, but I'm still afraid. You know how I feel about modern games, so... Ha! It was an RPG El Dorado for an RPG fan. Wasn't that on the Crow soundtrack? What? Time Baby 2? No, that was Time Baby 3. Time Baby 2 is the like metal-ish version of the song. So yeah, Medicine. Those guys played live in the movie. The good movie, okay? Not the absolute fucking garbage mess that came out a few days ago, which is now being considered as together with Borderlands as the two worst movies of probably the entire decade or generation. Did you check about the new Atelier game? Yes, I did. Atelier Yumiya? Is it Yumiya? Yumai? Yumi? I think it's Yumiya, right? Well, whatever it is pronounced, I did check on that game. I watched the Nintendo Direct like everybody else, and well, I saw that they said it was an Atelier game, but at the beginning I thought it was kind of some kind of spin-off. But no, it's apparently the start of a new trilogy or a new... I don't know if it's gonna be like a new trilogy with the same protagonist, or like the old Atelier games, you know, like 3 different protagonists for each game, you know. Because apparently with Risa and now Sophie, you know, they kind of want to make whole trilogies based on just one character in the same universe or town or characters, you know. So that's interesting. But whatever the case, I don't know what the hell they're gonna do with this new IP. But what the highlight for me was that the game looked kind of edgy. Like she looked kind of in distress. Like, I don't know, something off was happening, something dark was in there, and that caught my attention. I was like, man, this does not look like your average colorful slice of life Atelier game, you know, like every single other, you know, in the all of them. Even the Iris games, you know, Iris 2, the Assault of Destiny on the PlayStation 2, that seems to be the darkest of them all, but even being the darkest, it's not really dark, like barely, you know. And now Yumiya seems like it's gonna be... I don't know, man. I'm really intrigued by this new Atelier game, you know. I'm a fan of the series. Sure, I'm not like that die-hard fan of the series, you know, but I'm a fan. And this looks intriguing, this looks different. The protagonist, the atmosphere, you know, of the game. The trailer showed something kind of like stressful and dark. Something was going on in there. It definitely did not look like an Atelier game, even though it is, so... Well, we'll see what happens, you know. Like, I'm interested. Very intrigued by this. What about Sakura Wars? Oh, is there more JRPGs with love relationship system like Persona, Fire Emblem, Trails? Yeah, Sakura Wars, that's another one. What else? Like, you can choose your waifu and shit. You just mentioned some of the big ones. Agarest, the Agarest series. You know, there's 3 games. There's 4 games, though I haven't played the 4th one, which is called Agarest War Marriage or something like that, which is pretty much dedicated to romance. Haven't played that one. I think it only came out on PC. But yeah, at least the first game is really good. The second game, well, it's still good. You know, it's not that great, but I've never finished it. So I need to go back to it before I can make a proper judgment or rank it. Score it in my scores on my blog. But yeah. To fix the PS3 issue, you can manually uncheck 1080p and 1080i and set it to 720p only. That's what I did, man, and it still didn't work. I don't think it's a problem of resolutions. I don't think it's a problem of my streaming software. I don't think it's a problem of my capture card or the splitters or the HDMI cable. No, it's the fucking PS3. Every time I try to change games, the video went off. I don't know, man. I have no idea what's going on in there. But I did that. Like, changed to 720p and it still didn't work. You don't understand the hype for the Atelier games? Well, they got a lot of fans, you know? You don't have to understand it. But what Atelier means to a lot of people is what, I don't know, what are your favorite games, man? It's what your favorite games mean to you. So, of course, there's always going to be hype for things that maybe you don't care about, you know? But that doesn't mean, I mean, what's so hard to understand? There's a big world around you, man, with different people, different tastes, so they get hyped for many different things. Did you see that Little Nightmares 3 and the developers of Little Nightmares 1 and 2's new game Reanimal got announced? Both had short trailers. I knew about Little Nightmares 3, and I'm kind of like confused about the fact that the developers of the first two games didn't work on the third game, and instead they made another game called Reanimal. I didn't know that, so I haven't watched that one. It's kind of weird, you know? I don't know what's going on in there. I haven't informed myself on that situation. Like, I don't know why Tarzan Studios, what was the name of the studio that made Little Nightmares 1 and 2? I don't know why they aren't doing the third game, and instead they're doing this other game. You know, it's kind of fucking weird, you know? It's like, wow, what's going on in there? I don't understand. Can you say your take about the Manakemia series? Is part 2 better than the part 1? Thanks. Both are really good. The first one has a lot of difficulty spikes and it relies way too much on the crafting system. And if you craft the wrong things, you can fuck up your entire playthrough, which is what happened to me. That does not happen in the second game. It gives you more leeway to fuck up, you know, and correct your mistakes. So the second one, in my opinion, is much better than the first one. Plus, you got two different protagonists. Has stronger replay value because if you beat the game with one character, now you can beat it with the other character. And their roots, yeah, they take place in the same school and the stories are intertwined, you know, but there's a lot of events and battles that are very different. So it's worth playing the game through twice, even in a row, you know. So that's what I did. I really, really recommend the second game. Have you played Stella Deus? Yes. Great game. Well, I guess Thousand Arms and the second story. Yeah. They're actually included, you know. Especially Thousand Arms, you do have your dating sim. For the person who was asking about romance in JRPGs, you know. Next month, Romancing Saga 2 Remake is 10 October. I will buy. I don't buy. Dude, you've been watching the Q&As for probably years, maybe, and I've been saying for years I don't buy anything at launch. But I was lucky enough to have a fan that got me the special edition of East 10, and he's sending it to me. So that's what I'll be playing. Like the Romancing Saga 2 remake looks fantastic, you know, but I don't give a shit about Square Enix games anymore. I'd rather play anything in English to keep improving my English, my reading, my writing, my pronunciation, you know, so I play everything in English. Except 13 Sentinels. They announced more Persona remakes. Where do you get that information? Where? Can we ban the word remake? No, we can't. You want a Star Ocean 1 remake? You speak better English than most Americans now. That's not true. What game has the most interesting party members? There's a video on my second channel with that topic. We already talked about that. JRPG voice option Japanese or English? Japanese nowadays. Used to be English, strictly English, preferably English, but nowadays it's the other way around. Japanese. Do you think Suikoden 1 and 2 they are remasters, they're not remakes, okay? They are remasters. So do you think the Suikoden 1 and 2 remasters will be released on 6 March 2025? And will it open Suikoden 6 and... Okay, so you're trying to ask if after these games are released, there's a possibility that Suikoden 6 will come into existence. I don't know, the developers of Suikoden 5 and Tear Cries, you know, showed some interest. They openly said that they have been interested in developing Suikoden 6 for over a decade, but it's just fucking Konami, right? Konami owns the IP, so they can't do anything. And then there's a Eiyuden Chronicle, and it was successful, but it got a lot of shit because of the translation. So as long as Konami respects the Suikoden 1 and 2 translations and they don't fuck them up, there's a possibility they may succeed and sell a lot and merit the possibility of Suikoden 6 one day by Konami. But I don't trust Konami. That's a company I stopped trusting over 20 years ago. Well, 20 years ago to be exact. Around 2005 or 6, that's when I said, these guys, they don't really care about video games anymore. And now they have tried making a comeback with all these remasters and remakes and Castlevania collections and now Suikoden and Silent Hill 2, But some of their games, are political, sweet babies involved in the Silent 2 remake, Silent Hill 2 remake, so I don't trust Konami. I don't trust Konami and the translation. I don't know what's gonna happen with the remasters. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that I just don't care about Suikoden 6 or a Eiyuden Chronicle. To me, if no one can handle the Suikoden series without inserting fucking politics into it, I'd rather have the series stay dead forever. Well, that's another thing, if Suikoden 1 and 2 remasters succeed, I think that's more likely to happen. Suikoden 6 is still like a big if, But whereas Suikoden 3, 4, and 5 and Tactics, I don't think they will get a remaster anytime soon. But the least Konami can do is port them to the PlayStation 5, especially 5, Because 3, 4, and Tactics got a digital release on PlayStation 3 many years ago, but no, 5 wasn't there. They didn't do the same with 5. It's like Konami fucking hates Suikoden 5 for some reason. I don't know why. Probably because it was a failure. Despite the game being great and a lot of people loving it and praising it nowadays, and it is held in a high regard, Konami seems to hate it because back in the day, Suikoden 5 was a failure. So, but yeah, I'd love to see those games at least in a digital re-release for $10 on the PlayStation Store. I will probably get 5 and stream it, But I think the Suikoden remasters are more likely to happen if 1 and 2 succeed next year. But like I said, man, Konami should learn from what happened with a Eiyuden Chronicle, okay? But if the Mafia is threatening them and manipulating them, forget it, the remasters. I mean, there's a possibility the remasters will be ruined like 505 games kinda ruined a Eiyuden Chronicle. That's a great idea, people walking on the street. Do you think if Final Fantasy went back to turn-based like Baldur's Gate 3 style games, it will revolutionize the series? I think we get a modern new Final Fantasy Tactics like computer RPGs. Well, to answer your first question, I just don't like Final Fantasy anymore, and I just said that I don't care about Square Enix games anymore. But I think we've been discussing the possibility of a Final Fantasy Tactics remaster for years, and I think Square Enix should do that. More people are in the chat and playing Concord. Definitely. The new turn-based gameplay mechanic of Clear Obscure Expedition 33 looks fantastic. Actually looking forward to it. When is that game coming out? I forgot. Just bought Odin's Sphere Leaf Brazier because of you. You're welcome. Fantastic game, man. It's not a remake, it's a remaster. No one's ever said it's a remake, only people who don't know the difference between a remake and a remaster. Maybe I call it a remake at some point when I didn't know the difference, but once I learned it, I've been calling this for years a remaster. Stop playing those games, guys. Why Why do you play those games? Don't you realize what you're doing? You're giving them attention, you're giving them your money, and sure, all you do is come here and complain about them. Well, the joke's kinda on you, don't you think? Konami must be run by the Yakuza because they ruined Metal Gear. Probably. The Black Rock Yakuza. Yeah, I just watched, Kevin, before going live right today, I watched that 30th anniversary of the Tales series coming up in December. Like 85% of the video was about Tales of Graces, the remaster, the upcoming remaster. And I was like, oh yeah, good. So we'll see which one is the next remaster. I saw in the comments that most people were voting for Tales of the Abyss or Tales of Exilia 1 and 2. And you know how I feel about that. Like, I'm fucking tired of saying this because it's been like 3 years since I've been saying this, but I want the original first Tales games remastered, not the most recent ones. But, you know, whatever. You don't care about Dragon Quest? I don't care anymore about Dragon Quest, that's right. After 11 and after what happened with... I don't care about Square Enix. A lot of developers don't care for their IPs and don't care about profits much either. Well, why they don't care about profits is because they're being probably controlled by these companies, who don't care about the money. All they want to do is keep people divided. Divided and therefore distracted, so communism can take over the world. While everybody's still fighting each other over social politics and culture politics. You know, that's why Disney and all these, we're seeing all these shows failing, whatever, you know. They don't care about the money because they're more interested about politics than money. When will you upload a Rage Quit video again? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure I understand your question, Eka. Like, what is the JRPG story that makes you remember the most? Or what between those 3 games? Like, which one is the most memorable? Like, which JRPG has the most memorable story out of these 3? Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, and Suikoden 2? To me, probably Suikoden 2. Anyway. Yes, Anthony, I think so. I haven't played Fate Extra CCC, the sequel. I haven't played it, man. I don't know if it is not fully translated as far as I'm concerned. It's like Soul Trigger. You know, there's a big chunk of it translated, but not complete, I think so. I don't know if you need to play the first one. How do you have motivation to play all those JRPGs? Well, I'm very passionate about the genre. I love playing video games. I love JRPGs, of course. And I have this YouTube channel to keep me motivated. I need to play more and more and more so I can talk about more and more and more games. So there you go. Exilia 1 and 2 are still a double pack on PSN. What? I'm pretty sure that people told me here in the chat in previous streams that they were removed from the PlayStation Store. Maybe they just removed them in some countries? Where are you from, Dan? Diane? Were you like 2 people in there? Dan and Diane? No, Abdo Azar. I probably didn't mispronounce your name. No, my Daybreak review will probably come until the end of the year. Any recommendations for a short JRPG on Switch I could try? Check out my top 50 best short JRPGs here on YouTube, and you'll see a crap ton of recommendations. You just checked on City Romance. They fully translated in December last year. I gotta see that with my own eyes. I know there's been an English patch in the works for years, you know, but I didn't know it was like fully translated. Let me just check. Shit, man. Oh, yeah. Thanks, man. That's great news to me. I'm a big fucking nerd. Thanks, man, of that game. I love that game. So, ooh, I didn't know that. That's great news, buddy. Fate Extra. Wow, man, I'm playing this. Holy shit. Thanks. Would you recommend Land Greaser 1 and 2? Yes, I do. Great remakes. Sure, the graphics, the in-game graphics look kind of low budget, like a mobile game, you know? But the gameplay, the music, the roots and endings, you know? Fucking play them, man. I do recommend them a lot. You're welcome, Dark Side Ken. No worries, Eka. Okay, so yeah, Suikoden 2 seems to me like the most memorable story out of those three, but because it's my favorite out of those three. One more game to stream, right? One more game to play! You know, because I love Fate Extra. Even if I wasn't a YouTuber, I would still play the heck out of it. But yeah, one more game to stream, one more game to review. Thanks, man. Do you play just one game at a time, or rotate between multiple? It depends. It depends. Nowadays, I seem to do that a lot because I came back to stream. So you could say that right now I'm playing Jeanne d'Arc, Atelier Sophie that I can't beat because the final boss is fucking bullshit. And Puzzle Quest also hit a difficulty spike, huge difficulty spike, and I'm fucking angry about it. And I'm playing Hero Saga on the Nintendo DS, so yeah, nowadays to answer your question, yeah, I do play multiple games at the same time. But this isn't me, you know, I'm usually the type of guy who sticks to just one or two. You know, one or two simultaneously, and preferably just one. But yeah, it's like one or two. It's been that way since many years, you know. But lately, you know, because of the streams and because of, you know, I kind of want to jump back into my backlog and work on it and play all of those fan-translated games and a lot of my retro games, or not so retro, you know, games that I've owned for years and I never finished, you know, like Hero Saga on the Nintendo DS. You know, that's what I want to work on, so I have to, like, it's not that I have to, it's that I want to, you know. I'm playing multiple games at the same time right now. Blood Plus for PS2 is not translated yet at all. I didn't know there was a game based on Blood Plus. I watched that anime years ago. Any chance to stream Tales of Destiny DC for PS2 in the short term? No, because I already tried playing it and it doesn't work on my PlayStation 2, sadly. Do you think Trails managed to hit the mainstream medium now that Sky Remake is going to be upon us? Maybe after the Sky Remake is successful, we'll see what happens. Daybreak wasn't that successful, for obvious reasons. Well, I guess, forget about the obvious reasons. I guess it didn't sit very well that it's, I don't know, man. The Trail series are always the same, you know. The first game in each entry, you know, is like, it's kind of slow. But I don't know. I wouldn't call them mainstream yet. But if the Trails in the Sky remake is successful, it might be, but we'll see what happens, you know. I've been saying this, you know, a lot of people are angry. Maybe some of you guys aren't angry, you know, but a lot of people are fucking angry and furious about these fucking translations, and they are starting to fight with their wallets. They refuse to buy games, or they give bad reviews to some games, or they don't care for them or about them, you know, so it all depends on how the translation of Sky Remake ends up. Jeanne d'Arc has a very nasty difficulty spikes here and there. Yes, I've been noticing that. I had forgotten about some of the spikes because I played the game 11 years ago and I abandoned it 11 years ago. But now that I've been doing a full playthrough, yeah, I've hit some of those spikes. but I haven't come across anything that nasty yet. I know there's one which made me quit 11 years ago, but I like to think that I have been preparing for that. So you beat Garai, that's great, MJ. Hey Michael P. Is Nier Automata a JRPG? Yes, it is. I'm not really a fan of Ni no Kuni, so I'm going to choose Octopath Traveler. You need to play it. If you haven't played it, you need to play it, but it's nasty, it's a nasty game. Okay, just keep that in mind, it's really hard. What exactly is mainstream medium? The popular, selling a lot of money, selling a lot of copies, stuff like that. Long live CD Romance. Amen. Do you think the lack of balance in difficulty in JRPGs is a common issue or only in some games? Nowadays, it seems to be a common issue. There have been difficulty spikes in JRPGs in the past, but the majority are quite balanced. Nowadays, it seems to be a common issue. There's a lot of them that are like ridiculous. But that's also the reason why there's a lot of almost every single JRPG in existence nowadays has an easy mode. Because they know they can't afford maybe quality assurance, and they rather invest that money on the programmers to set up an easy mode, maybe, instead of making sure their game is balanced, which is a very cheap way and lazy way to release your game and to develop your game. I'd rather have a balanced video game than one with an easy mode, So yeah, I think it's a common issue nowadays. It's always been there, of course, but it feels like modern JRPGs for the past 5, 6, 7 years, have been like that. There's a lot of them that are with nasty spikes, and it certainly is a problem. I don't recommend Resonance of Fate, speaking about difficulty spikes. Oh really? Atelier Marie, didn't that get a remake? You get a remake released everywhere. Yeah, this music is fantastic. First of all, I'm a huge fan of Strange Journey and Devil Survivor. Okay. Should I try the remastered version of those games or should I try SMT Vengeance instead? You should stick to those games. I can't speak for Vengeance because I haven't played it. But you should definitely play Devil Survivor on the 3DS. It's the best version of it to play. Difficulty's been rebalanced. It's still hard, but it's not insanely hard as the original Nintendo DS version. And Strange Journey Remaster Redux, it's called Redux on the 3DS. Well, I've seen a lot of people bitching about it, but I don't know, I didn't have any problems with it. I never finished it, but I really enjoyed it. I think I put 8 hours into it until I gave up because of the labyrinths. So I can't strongly recommend Strange Journey, either version, but Devil Survivor 3DS, you should definitely play that one. Really good. What is the most used trope in JRPGs that you think it sucks, but you secretly like it at the same time? The power of friendship. I've been saying this for years. There are others, that I think suck balls, and I don't secretly like them. Like fighting God or the church, it's been overdone, man. Yeah, the power of friendship has been overdone in the past, but yeah, on the inside, I think I kind of like it. Even though, I probably like it because, I don't have that in my life. Digital Devil Saga Remaster? I don't know. Ask your favorite company, Atlus. They should at least port it, man. Just release a simple port on digital for $10 on PlayStation 4 and 5. That's all you gotta do, Atlus. That's all you gotta do. Is that too much to ask for? Great to see your RPG scores list updated. Thank you, Luigi Ed. There's currently 180 RPGs scored on a scale from 1 to 10 on my blog. Link to my blog in the description if you want to check it out. My scores are there. I've been told by a few people that I'm being very generous with a lot of scores. But that's because, I don't really believe in low scores for games that are actually good. And I'm a very passionate RPG guy, so keep in mind, it's me, a huge fucking JRPG nerd, ranking all of those games, so... Of course, if a game is more like an 8 out of 10, I'm probably gonna say it's 8.4 or 8.6, because it's just me. I love this genre, so... I can't bring myself to I don't know... Like, for example, there's a Shining Resonance refrain. You know how I feel about that fucking game, and I still gave it an 8 out of 10. Right? When I shouldn't. It's definitely a 7 out of 10. But... Just check my list. 180 games scored. Once I reach 200th, which is probably going to be next week, I'm going to have to do something about it. Maybe a video, or maybe... I don't know what I'm going to do. With something. What games are you currently playing? I just answered that question 5 minutes ago. Atelier Sophie, Puzzle Quest, Heroes Saga, and Jeanne d'Arc. The latter I'm doing live. Thank you, Frankenstein. Thank you for all your efforts of making this JRPG content. Truly helped me a lot during COVID. Oh, that's awesome. I see we have a lot of in common. Rock metal JRPGs with dark stories. That's right, buddy. Do you give scores like IGN? I just said that I do the exact opposite, dude. Pay attention, Tyson. Why write stories? Yeah, I was just talking about the other stories like about 30 minutes ago. A Unicorn Overlord is another game where you recruit a lot of characters like in Fire Emblem and Suikoden, to the person who was asking that like half an hour ago. Avalon Code for the Nintendo DS. Yes, I did, and it was going to be my honorable mention in a video that I did a couple of weeks ago called Top 10 Hardest Nintendo DS JRPGs. Avalon Code was going to be there, but to be completely honest, I haven't touched that game in a long time. And I was like, dude, how am I going to explain this? And I didn't have enough time to download it and play it so I can, remember it and explain the battle mechanics, but that's a really hard game. That's a game where, the first enemy of the game can fucking kill you if you know what you're doing. It's hard. Another versus coming up. We do have a versus coming up today. Have my 2 games here, right here next to me. I wrote the comment before you explained the score system. Okay, I forgive you. You should have a video talking about the best plot twists in JRPGs. No, because the spoilers, no one's gonna watch that. Because they're gonna be, I'm not watching this because of the spoilers. So I tried that with boss battles, I made a top 10 boss battle. The best boss battles ever, most epic boss battle in JRPGs. And it failed because everybody was bitching about the spoilers. So I was like, okay, fuck it. That's gonna... If I ever put Chrono Cross against another game for a versus episode, that's gonna be huge, man. And that will probably be uploaded on my main channel like before. But no. Right now, no. Let's give more time. Are you hyped for any upcoming games? East 10 only. And the Sky remake. Or maybe I should say I'm not hyped for anything, The United States of America government, controlled by China and Russia, maybe, have taken over the video game industry, so I'm no longer excited for any fucking video game in existence whatsoever. Sup? The Old Testament. I've said this for many years. I would love to see a Shin Megami Tensei 1 and 2 remakes. Remakes, not remasters. Remakes done from scratch, but instead of being on first person, make them on third person. Kind of like Nocturne. Let me see my character exploring around, and get rid of the random encounters. I don't think that's ever gonna happen though, but dude, I don't know if the Shin Megami Tensei series are mainstream nowadays. I don't know if it is or not. Persona definitely is, has been for many years. SMT, I'm not sure, maybe it is. It's definitely more popular than Trails or Ys nowadays. But Whether they're mainstream or not, I don't know if Atlus has like considered that possibility. Like looking at their old games and saying, SMT 5 sold a lot. The remasters of some of our games have done well. I don't know how many copies Nocturne sold, the HD remaster, but I don't know. But I think they're gonna focus on Persona first, to make. I don't know. They know what they're doing, I guess. In terms of business, they know what they're doing, I guess. So there you go. Whatever happens, it's probably gonna be ruined by politics. Thank you, Sylvester. Have you played Eternal Sonata? Yes, I have. You are new to this channel, Ries. I can tell that because I've covered that game 10 million times. And I fucking love it. Love it. Huge fan of Eternal Sonata here. Both versions, 360, PS3. PS3 is the best one, but fucking love that game. Do you recommend to play Trails in the Sky or to wait? I don't know, man. Play it. I'd say play it because the remake seems like it's going to be very different and we don't know what's going to happen with the translation, so if you play the original, at least you'll know if they change. Did the music skip? What the fuck? This is Atelier music. Is this Sophie or Ryza? This is Ryza. This is Ryza. Can I make my rant about... Can I make my rant about the final boss in Atelier Sophie without spoiling? It's fucking horseshit. I've been thinking about this in... Never mind. So how can I talk about it without spoiling, But it's bullshit. People told me... I remember I made a video called... well, it was Atelier Ryza review. Review. I say review. I don't know why I said review instead of review. It's pronounced review, isn't it? I always say review. Whatever, I made a review of Atelier Ryza, what was like 2 years ago, probably, yeah, in 2022. And I called it the hardest Atelier game I have ever played. And I've played a crap ton of them, Nowadays I feel Eska and Logi on the PS Vita, it's much harder, so that takes the cake. But I remember people telling me that Sophie was one of the hardest. And yeah, I noticed that. I noticed it was difficult. I noticed some of the normal mode, the enemies, regular enemies were beating the crap out of me. If I go out and fight during the night, most enemies will destroy me, But there wasn't any spikes, there wasn't any... All of it was optional. And there are ways around it, It's hard. Sophie is fucking hard on normal mode. And it punishes you for using easy mode. If you change to easy, you get half of the experience and items and skills and whatever, Well, you'll learn skills that way, but you get half of the experience and money and items. It punishes you for playing the game on easy. And to make matters even worse, there's a level cap. You reach level 20 and you can't grind anymore. And if you keep grinding, the characters will still gain experience, and every time they reach a certain threshold, you'll get 1 point to use to increase one stat. And the final boss is level 25. And it's fucking broken. Broken as fuck. Just like some of the bosses in Eskai and Logi. It's ridiculous. I've tried everything at this point. I don't know if I'm going to give up. Rage quit on Atelier Sophie. And I'm kind of like, why can't I just die at the boss fight and get a bad ending? That's what happened to me with Aisha. In Aisha, if you die at the final boss, because Aisha has a time limit, Sophie doesn't. Sophie doesn't have a time limit, but Aisha does have a time limit. The one most of you people hate, yeah? has a time limit. So if you die at the final boss in Aisha, you get a bad ending, and that's it. I mean, you can reload your file and try again, but you can't go back and grind because you've ran out of time. Same with Eska and Logi. You run out of time, you're fucked, buddy. It fucked me over. I never finished Eska and Logi. It was just too fucking brutal. And I grinded a hell of a lot, gained a lot of levels. Eska and Logi does not have level cap. You can grind a lot, whatever. You know, I still couldn't beat a certain boss. It wasn't even the final boss. It was one of the last ones. Like, I was supposed to beat this boss to unlock the final dungeon with the final boss. So he's like the second to last final boss. Great game, you know, it's one of the better Atelier games, Eska and Logi, but god damn it. And now Sophie. And it was fine, you know, some difficulty spikes in there, you know, that I handled, some bosses, I grinded, got better equipment and materials and whatever, you know, and I pulled through. But I got to the final boss, tried it like several times on normal, grinded, leveled up, bought the best equipment, upgraded my equipment, whatever, I still died. I changed the difficulty to easy, still fucking died. 3 times on easy. Like, what the fuck, man? Aren't Atelier games supposed to be like friendly? Supposed to be like, you know, so everybody can jump into them? And now you're pulling this fucking nonsense? This Shin Megami Tensei bullshit? That's my rant. I don't know if I'll beat Atelier Sophie, but for now I'm really angry with it. Another game I rage quit on this morning is, well, you guys don't really care about this one. Yumiya doesn't look turn-based. Don't tell me it's gonna be action. That's gonna piss off a lot of people. The Atelier games, every single one of them, even that crappy spin-off Nelke was turn-based, has been turn-based. Every Atelier game in existence is turn-based. Maybe, I don't know, there's a mobile game I haven't played, I don't give a shit about it. But it is. It's there. You tell me Yumiya is gonna be like action RPG? Bad. That's bad. Grand Kingdom, huh? No wonder this sounded very familiar. This is one of the biggest grind fests ever. Up there with Octopath Traveler, Breath of Fire 2, this Gaia, this fucking game, PS Vita and PS4. Massive grind fest, massive grind fest. Good luck, MJ. Well, I have to say something about Atelier Sophie. I'm playing the PS Vita version. I don't know if the PS4 version is easier, or the Switch version, or whatever version you got. I don't know. Maybe it was rebalanced. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I'm playing the PS Vita version, which was the original version, and but I don't know. The music is great in most Atelier games. Sophie has a badass soundtrack. The final boss theme is badass. I added the final boss theme to the playlist today. Maybe we'll get to it at some point. Right? Anyway, if the song plays, I'll let you know, and you'll see it there. You can see the name of the song, right? Are Raidu Kusunoha games connected to the main SMT series? No, they're more of a part of a Devil Summoner sub-series, which comprises Soul Hackers 1 and 2. Those are connected, but like Raidu Kusunoha has nothing to do with SMT5. Or maybe it's an optional boss. It's there in Nocturne, though. Yes. Thinking about it, yes, they are connected. Do you think we'll ever get a .hack or a Xenosaga remaster? It's been a while. Now it's coming back. For a while, no one was asking that question because, you know, I complained about it. But now it seems to be back. The Xenosaga Remaster question. No, I don't think we'll get the Xenosaga Remaster question. Bandai Namco doesn't give a shit. On the contrary, Tyson, I think that's gonna be left intact. Yeah, it's a good game. Grand Kingdom is a good game. This is the final boss theme, guys. I'll tell you, Sophie. Just listen to it. Sounds like a Nier song. What the fuck, right? This is fucking badass. Anyway, if I ever do a top 50 best final boss themes, I probably won't because of copyright. A lot of my favorites have copyright and you can't use them. But these will be there. These will fucking be there. Fucking masterpiece of a song. Like, yes, this is from Atelier Sophie. When I fought the final boss for the first time, I was like, what the fuck? It's like Daisuke Achiwa and Keiichi Okabe worked together for it. Yeah, man, Atelier games, they always surprise me. All of them have this cheesy music that is kind of catchy and you love it. But every now and then they're like, what? Like the regular battle theme from Shally? That's a fucking banger, man. And the music obviously doesn't fit the games. It's like this song, what the hell is this song doing in an Atelier game, right? Hey, Senshi. Well, then ask your goddamn questions, man. Have you played the original 8-bit Megami Tensei games? The Digital Devil story? No. I know them, but I haven't played them. Yeah, Donsk. That's Daisuke Achiwa for you. Do I have a picture of that guy? I don't think I do. It's like one of those composers, you can't find on the internet. No. I don't have a picture of Daisuke Achiwa. Just want you guys to see the face of the man who made this fucking song. Yeah, thank you Johan GP19 for becoming a member. Thanks a bunch. It's been almost an hour and haven't received a single donation. I'm leaving. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I still have here the Fade Extra ZCC patch. I'm not gonna close this tab. This will be downloaded today. Is Falcom ever gonna make a new IP, or are they just going to continue to remaster, remake all their old IPs like Treasures in the Sky? For now, I'm pretty sure that's what they're gonna do. They're going to release the first remake of Sky next year. Second chapter will be next. The third will be the third. And after they're done with that, maybe they'll develop a new IP. Probably. What are your thoughts on Atelier Yumiya? I already talked about that. I'm intrigued. What's the easiest to get into strategy RPG you can suggest? Well, Luigi, you can find a video that I did about 3 years ago called Top 10 Best Strategy JRPGs for Beginners. Hope it helps. Nemo Propaganda, thanks a bunch, man. Did somebody say donation? I don't know. It was probably that little fucking dragon, you know, that I showed in my collection video game collection tour video. The dragon, the OK dragon. It's probably that guy, but not me, man. Of course, Sky First is getting remade as I'm 40 hours in. It happened to me, man. I don't know how many of you remember this, but I made a full playthrough live of Chrono Cross on a New Game Plus. And when I finished that, I think I finished this in like January of 2022. And like a month later, the remaster got released. Announced and released. And I was like, oh. So I feel you, bro. I know what that feels like. I don't know if the remake is gonna have less text. You know what I think is gonna happen with the Sky remake is that most of the text will not be text anymore. Like will be fully voiced dialogue in like cutscenes or something like that. I don't know how they're gonna handle that. Or maybe it will still be a lot of text, but it will have like voice acting, you know, like English or Japanese dub. So it's gonna feel less heavy to read. That's what I think. Like, I don't know, man, try to close your eyes and think of Trails into Reverie and imagine it's a PSP game and like 80% of the dialogue isn't voiced and you just gotta read over and over and over and over and over again, right? So Trails in the Sky remake is not gonna be like that, I think. It's probably gonna have a lot of text too, but it's gonna be fully voiced, maybe. So that'll break down the repetitive nature of reading or the tedious nature of it. Newcom, thanks a bunch for coming through with some money! Did you see the new trailer for Clear Obscure? No, I watched the original trailer from like 2 months ago, I don't know. And yes, I'm interested. I hope he doesn't have any fucking politics inserted into it. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's supposedly an indie game, right? I don't know much about it. I watched the trailer from 2 months ago and I don't know much about it. I'm not that informed with the game, you know. Because you know me, I don't trust modern video games anymore. I gave up. I'm starting to see glints of hope thanks to games like Black Myth Wukong and Frontier Hunter. But, and Stellar Blade, of course, you know, but 9 out of 10 games are being destroyed by politics, so I don't know, man. Hopefully this Clear Obscure game, you know, is gonna stay truthful without political garbage. Do you think they will remake Legend of Heroes 1? No, I don't think so. Wait, by Legend of Heroes 1, do you mean like the ones on PSP and Steam? Actually, they were released on PS1 first. It's just those versions never left Japan. Or do you mean like the really old one from the TurboGrafx 16 era, you know, computer systems, you know, from back then? If you mean that one, I don't think so. Even the Gagar trilogy, I don't think it's ever going to be remade or remastered. Does it ever happen to you that you're playing an RPG and it never happens? And wait. Wow, thanks a bunch, Johan. I'm gonna read the David's question first, and then I'll get to yours, because this is interesting. Has it ever happened to you? You're playing an RPG and an error happens and lose all your saving data. Yes, it has. Not too often, maybe just a couple of times. I clearly remember it happened to me with Sakuna of Rise and Ruin, and I'll show you what happens. I've showed this before, but I think I want to show it again. Anyway, what do you think of Eiyuden Chronicles? I played around for 30 hours, but dropped it for some reason. On a surface level, it feels a lot like Suikoden, but beneath the surface, it feels a bit hollow. I made a full review of it, if you want to watch it, and I also ranted about the translation. So there's like 2 separate reviews. Watch both, I recommend both. so you can have a better perspective on why the game feels this way or that way. My two biggest complaints, well, I have three big complaints. The first one is the translation, of course, but leaving that aside, my two biggest complaints with the game were that, well, one of those complaints was a problem that was fixed like 2 days after the game was released, I think, that you couldn't recruit certain party members and you were locked into the bad ending. So that was fixed. So the only complaint I have left now is that if you want to get the true ending, if you want to recruit all characters, you gotta play a bunch of mini games. There's two characters in particular. There's three actually. 3 characters in particular. And one of them is the cook. To recruit him, you need to play like 10,000 cooking mini games. There's another one that is like the Beyblade kind of battle mini game, you know? And again, you need to fight like 10,000 enemies to recruit that character. And you know what? That's fucking bullshit. That's happened before in previous Suikoden games. Okay? But it's nowhere near as fucked up as in this one. Like in previous Suikoden games, it's like, oh, you gotta play just one mini game and beat that character in that mini game to recruit him or her. And that's it. It's not like an entire fucking quest where you gotta fight 20 NPCs to recruit that one motherfucker, you know. That was my biggest rant with the Eiyuden Chronicle. And I didn't do this rant in the review because I did my review based on the bad ending version. And I pointed that out in the review. But it's been fixed. If you guys go and watch my review, that problem has been fixed. It was patched, and now you can recruit all characters. I think there's 119 characters total. No problem, okay? But you're gonna have to go through that. And if you don't do this, you will get the same ending, but, well, actually you will get a bad ending because one important character dies. Just like in Suikoden 2. Right? Thanks for the donation, man. That was fantastic. That's my opinion. Dude, this is the main menu theme of Grow Lancer 5. I can recognize it anywhere. Fucking love it. Anyway, let me show you. I don't think I have the video right here. Let me just double check. Maybe if I have, maybe, no, not this one. I've showed this before. Maybe some of you will probably remember it. Where's like media source? Okay. Let me see if I can find it though. This happened to me in Sakuna of Rise and Ruin, and I had to reset the game, and I lost some of my progress. I don't know if it's here though. Or maybe it's on the hard drive. Yeah, it isn't here. But anyway, I showed it before. It was a glitch. I was in the middle of a stage, and I moved to the next screen, and it got fucked. Like she was in a limbo. Full of different colors, you know, in a rainbow. No. She was in this colorful place, you know, that didn't make any sense. That was fucking crazy, man. That happened to me. It was fucked up. So yeah, it's happened to me before, David. Going back to your question. No, Luis. I don't oppose anything of the sort. I do oppose extreme mentalities, you know, like pedophilia or the non-binary bullshit, you know. Things that don't really exist. They aren't biologically possible or logically possible. But homosexuality, you know, I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with wokeness nowadays. And political agendas. And communism. But whatever. Gay people, you know, I don't give a shit. Your sexual preferences or your race or your age, you know, I don't give a shit about that. What's your opinion on Visions of Manas? Oh, you were talking about that yesterday. Yeah, so let me just double check that. So apparently the Visions of Mana studio, the studio who developed the game, was fired from Square Enix. I'm not surprised. Think it's because they kind of stood against the political bullshit, but I want to look it up. But Google's probably gonna lie to me, so I'm gonna look it up on Bing. You know Google, they manipulate search results. So Visions of Mana Studio fired. Visions of Mana developer basically shut down just as the RPG Visions of Mana was released. Why? Oka Studios, responsible for developing Visions of Mana, is reportedly closing following the new decisions from Chinese publisher NetEase to step back from Japanese studios after years of investments. What? Wasn't this game published by Square Enix? What the fuck, man? They aren't saying, no one's saying the reasons why. And there's these articles by magazines, and these magazines are like political, so they're not gonna say anything. Neither the studio nor its owner have released a public statement about this. So no one knows. It's open to speculation, Yum Yum. I don't know what's going on here. I know why they were shut down. But it's just kind of hard not to think of the fact that several months before the director of the game said that he wasn't going to alter his game for modern Western audiences, you know, and we all know what that means. He wasn't going to insert political bullshit or DEI in his game. And then the game gets released, and the same week, the studio gets shut down. Sorry about these guys. Something personal is happening. Anyway, they're pushing DEI in Japan hard right now. I know that. Square Enix was among the first ones to start doing it. Yeah, I've known that for years. So I don't know what happened with the Visions of Mana studio. It's sad news. We can only speculate as to why. Let's not jump to conclusions. But it's kind of hard not to, you know. Hopefully the developers will find or fund a new studio, or they will continue solo, like acquire, you know. And maybe they can find a different publisher. You know, it's not too bad. Getting dropped sucks, you know, but like I said, maybe the developers can go and do something else and develop the games they believe in and develop the games the way they want them to be, you know, without evil fucking mafias, communist mafias pulling the strings, you know. So best of luck to the team. It's sad news, but it's better to, I think it's for the good, for the best, you know. If they get dropped by a company that's woke, I wouldn't mind. I will go solo, you know, and find something else. It's gonna be hard, I know that, you know, but it's either that or stay under the strings of something evil. Yeah, you know what I mean. So best of luck to the team of Visions of Mana. This is it's a bit frustrating if it's because of that, because they took a stance against, you know, political bullshit. It's infuriating, but there's a lot of financial issues with a lot of studios nowadays, so maybe that has a lot to do with something. Maybe Visions of Mana didn't sell that many copies. Maybe the publisher said to Visions of Mana, you know, if your game doesn't sell this much, I'm gonna have to shut down the studio in its first week, right? And that happened, and goodbye, you know, maybe it's got nothing to do with politics. But if it does, then fuck you for dropping this beautiful studio. Go to hell, and I hope you go bankrupt and rot in fucking prison one day. In your opinion, has Suikoden 2 not been topped? It was already topped by Suikoden 5 a long time ago, in my opinion. Bandai Namco is also jumping on DEI. Yep, I saw that. Fuck those guys. Which means that next Tales game is probably gonna have a, I don't know, a non-binary protagonist and a transsexual companion, you know, and a black party member, yeah, or a Mexican party member, you know. And I'm Mexican. And I think it's bullshit. So yeah, I don't care about Bandai Namco anymore. Add that to the companies that I don't care about anymore. Atlus, Square Enix, NIS America, 505 Games. Fuck all of them. How often do you hop to a different game in a single sitting? Like what you do in your streams? Not that often, you know, Diego. It happens just when I have nothing to do. Like, it's rare. But sometimes I'm like, I don't want to play an RPG right now, or I don't want to continue with the game that I was playing, so I'm just going to play some random games, you know? So yeah, it happens, but it's rare. I usually just play the same games that I've been currently playing, and I don't really jump between them unless I rage quit on one. Like last night, you know, I was playing something and I rage quit and I jumped to another game. I was like, fuck it. What are some games that you love to replay? That's gonna have like, what are some games that I loved to replay in the past? Because I don't have the luxury of replaying some games nowadays. The latest one that I replayed and finished for like the 11th time was Xexis on the NES. Xexis with an X. Xexis, nothing to do with sexiness. The game isn't sexy. But sexiness on the NES, my favorite NES game. I beat it, what, a month ago maybe? Yeah, for like, I beat that game for the first time when I was like 10 years old. And now I've beaten it again, so that was great. But yeah, I love replaying games, but like regular games, but rarely do I ever finish them again, you know. RPGs though, you know, I used to love replaying Chrono Cross. My favorites, Girl Lancer, most of the Suikoden games, some SMT games, Persona, you know, Trails maybe, you know. But I don't have the luxury of replaying a lot of RPGs nowadays because after I finish one, I have to move on to the next one. Why are you saying that, Brian? You prefer most indies and AA games like Unicorn Overlord to AAA games any day? That's not a great example. You picked a very poor example. I mean, I fucking loved Unicorn Overlord, and I do recommend it a lot, but the game's dialogue was altered, in case you didn't know, by Atlus USA. So it was politicized. Not as bad as a Euden Chronicle or Trails Through Daybreak, though, but yeah. No! Xexis! Xexis! God damn it. This fucking game. I love this song, by the way. Batman NES. This fucking game. This game by Hudson Soft. My favorite NES game. I own a physical cartridge of it. That's the game I meant. That's why pre-orders are becoming a thing now. It saves developers from getting dropped. Maybe. It's kinda sad that the developer's shutting down. We might never gonna get a port of after this game, like to the PC or the Switch. Visions of Mana wasn't released on Switch? It was just PS4 and PS5? Visions of Mana isn't on Switch? What are you talking about, man? It's everywhere. No, it's not on Switch. But it is on Steam. PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X, Microsoft Windows, and GeForce Now? What the fuck is GeForce Now? Nvidia? Cloud? Okay. Well, it's there, people! For those, you know, in case for those people who own GeForce whatever, it's available on GeForce Now. Cloud gaming. Do you go back to finish any side quests or secret bosses? What? Like, what? In JRPGs? Like, I don't understand your question. Mario 3 or Super Mario World? Super Mario World. What, Brian? What are some good AA games you like? I like Unicorn Overlord. I just said that, you know, despite its alterations. Have you played any JRPGs for your guilty pleasures only? Atelier. That's my guilty pleasure. I shouldn't play that fucking shit, man. And I fucking do. And I fucking love it. Although I'm not as ashamed as to admit that I like it like I was before, you know. Years ago I was like, you know, I liked Atelier Rorona. Yeah, and now it's like, I fucking love Atelier, shut the fuck up. Trials of Mana is on Switch though. Yes it is. I have the Switch version. That's the version that I beat. I do recommend it though. Barely any issues. Well, there are some issues. PS4 version is better. Vanillaware didn't do that, Brian. It was Atlus USA. It was a translation. Vanillaware didn't do shit. They released the game, and it wasn't that woke, you know. It's just... I don't know, man. Let me show you some screenshots. More like the dialogue was toned down. This is fucking loud. I don't know, man. There's a video that I did called How to Deal with Modern Localization. Modern JRPG Localization on my main channel. Check it out for a more detailed... But I'm just gonna show you a random... I don't know, check this one out. I don't understand. Like the original text, the original script from the developers from Vanillaware, you know, it reads this. Like, Joseph, I will be fine. You should lend your strength to my mother. But the dialogue was changed to, in English, why are you just standing there, Joseph? Aren't you going to help her? Isn't like, yeah, this, like, exactly. I know what you're thinking. Anyway, here's another one. Like, wait, this is fucking huge. Like there, can you see it? But the original, the guy says, damn it! But the translation was, she's fast. And then a simple battle cry. He didn't even say anything. And he says, not as fast as I. That was an English localization. Okay, so, like, what the fuck, right? How I don't understand. It was altered, and there are more examples out there. Look them up online, and there's a crap ton of examples of dialogue being changed like that. But I don't understand. Like, what's... I don't get it. It's strange, right? Like, why will they do that? You know, they're not making a... Or are they making a left-wing point? Or what the fuck? Can you explain that to me? I mean, what do you guys think of that screenshot that I just showed? I don't see the politicization in that. Why was it changed? Isn't the whole point to remove genders? So why is the localization saying her? Or why is it like help my mother instead of I'll be fine? What the fuck, man? If they wanted to wokenize the translation, they did a really confusing fucking job. So what's the deal with that screenshot, with those screenshots, man? I don't get it. No, Ash. I'm not excited for Metaphor ReFantasia. Yeah, these kind of translations have been like this since forever, you know, since the 80s. Sometimes the character says something and they change the entire sentence for like no reason. It's like, why? And they did the same with the UN Chronicle, you know. Well, the UN Chronicle, they did insert a lot of political bullshit. But other dialogue was changed, like, there's nothing political about it. There's no wokeness in that specific dialogue part. You know, like why? In Trails from Zero, I made a comparison. Remember when you watched my review? Remember when you watched my review? You probably do, right? You love that review. Anyway, so I made a comparison. Like, there's nothing political. Why are they changing this? Trails into Reverie sadly had a lot of that, though. Yeah, all Trails. From Daybreak, no, Daybreak is politicized. Like, from Reverie and below, there were, like, sentences that are, like, you know... It's like, okay, I'll give you a random example. You know, I'm Rin Schwarzer. And I say, you know, in the original Japanese script, I'm Rin Schwarzer, and I say, I like this bottle of water. But the fucking imbecile who translates the games changed that sentence to, you know what? I'm okay with this item. I don't understand. Are you trying... Is saying bottle of water offensive? What the fuck? And the Trail series are full of that. They're like, what the fuck? Sometimes Lloyd says something like, you know... Like the battle cry screen you just saw. You know, like, you know, it's like Lloyd saying... Ah! Oh! You know, he's fighting, you know, he's saying like, ah! Oh! You know, he gets hurt like, ah! Oh! And the text in Japanese, you can see it's just one word. And if you play the games with the Japanese dub, the voice actor says, ah! You know, but the translation is like, oh, I can't take this anymore. What's wrong with UGH? UGH. What's wrong with that? UGH exclamation point. Exclamation mark. Why did you bother changing UGH to I can't take this anymore? Like, I get it when they change genders and stuff like that to insert their evil political bullshit. At least, you know, I strongly disagree. I don't respect that, but at least they're doing it for a reason. But like changing a bottle of water for item, like, what the fuck? Thank you again, Nemo Propaganda. He says, I hate politics in media, even if it's politics I agree with. Same here. Entertainment should simply be that. Selfish localizer should be fired. Exactly. You know, even if they say something I agree with, it shouldn't be there, you know. Unless the developers thought of that themselves. Like, once again, I don't want to go back to the Infinite Wealth example, and I'm not defending them because I disagree with what they did, but they did it themselves. A fucking evil fucking company didn't approach them and told them, you gotta make a feminist point about this character. Okay, no, they wrote those lines themselves. And they've been doing this since the first Yakuza games. Play the first Yakuza game and there's a lot of feminism in there, you know? So when they do it themselves, you know, I mean, yeah, right? But yeah, like forcing your beliefs or ideals in politics in someone, you know, just... I mean, look what's happening. But they don't care. They don't give a shit. Because they're fucking communists. That's what they want to do, man. They're losing money. Millions. Tens, hundreds of millions of dollars. Disney, Ubisoft, they're losing more money than ever in history. They don't give a shit. Why? Why would a company that's first and foremost interested in money, hence why it's a company, why wouldn't they give a shit about losing a lot of money? Why? See what I mean? There's gotta be a reason why. And my speculation is that these companies, whether they're being forced or not, you know, they don't really give a shit about money because they're doing all of this to divide people, to segregate them, to keep them distracted hating on each other while communism takes over the world. That's my hypothesis. I'm not saying that's exactly what's happening, you know, I don't have any objective evidence of that. But why would you be a company and lose money again and again? and get more than half of the world fucking hating you. And yet you continue. And then you pay the actors like the fucking acolyte, Star Wars acolyte bitch, to say, oh, the series was cancelled because of fucking racists and bigots. And Disney seems to be okay with that. You're losing a crap ton of money, man, but you seem to be okay with that. Why? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, man. I don't understand. If your business is losing money, a crap ton of money, and you're still doing the same over and over again just to chase after a political ideal, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know, man. What other games have been published by NetEase? I don't think Disney is a business anymore. I think it's a fucking mafia, a government mafia. I don't think it's a business anymore. I think China owns Disney. Call me crazy, I don't know, but whatever. Kingdom Come? I haven't heard about that game. They get investments if they are ESG, okay. Once Human, isn't that a mobile game? Like a free-to-play game, Once Human? I've gotten emails about that game, Once Human. And I always ignore them because I'm like, this is not the type of game that I want to play and cover in my channel, you know? I've never replied to a single one of those emails. They also kept bugging me about Sword of Convaleria. Have you guys heard about that game? Strategy RPG? Gacha? And dude, I got to a point, they were sending emails and I replied multiple times, Sword of Convaleria, until finally I said this. 3 times. This is the 3rd time I'm answering an email about this game. I am not interested. Please stop emailing me about it. Thanks. As cold as fuck as I could, you know. 3 times I had to tell them, no, I don't want to cover Sword of Convaleria. Yes, Butterlito. Butterlito, yes. The answer to your question is yes, I do have a backlog, and I've been working on it a lot. Now that I'm kind of out of the trends and the next big JRPG, and I don't get review codes from the big companies anymore, I can work on my backlog, and I'm happy with it. Who's Tencent? Tencent has a majority stake in NetEase. Okay, so who's Tencent? One of those BlackRock Vanguard companies like Sweet Baby, you know, a mafia company? Billionaire company? Have you seen the memes? The wokies defending these companies? Like, leave billionaire company alone. That's fucking crazy. Put a chick on it and make it... Oh, that's the South Park. Yeah. Did you get an email from Raid Shadow Legends? I haven't received one in a while. But I don't reply to those. I get an email about Raid Shadow Legends like once a month. Once every 2 months. They don't reach out that often. Maybe they've realized that I'm not interested. I won't sponsor anything here. I want to sponsor my books. Link to my books in the description, everybody. I want to sponsor my Twitch channel, my blog, my own stuff, you know? I want to promote my own stuff. I don't want to try and sell you some product, you know, or some game I don't believe in. Like, I had an issue. I'm not going to talk about this because it was private, you know, out of respect for the company. But I had an issue with another company that wanted to, like, hey, here's my new game, and we're gonna pay you this amount of money if you review it. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. The game is an RPG, looks indie, looks retro. Yeah, I dig that, you know. But I was like, rule number 1. I got a couple of conditions. Nah, I didn't say that. I just said that, you know, so how does this work? When are you going to pay me? Oh, we're going to pay you 45 days after you've uploaded the review. Oh, and before you upload the review, we got to watch it and give it a green light. Okay. You know what I said? And after saying that, nicely, they still insisted, oh, could you explain why, you know? Maybe you could do a 30 days. We can pay you 30 days after you've uploaded the review. And I was like, You know what, dude? With all due respect, first and foremost, your game isn't mainstream. So my review is not going to get... Your game is an indie game. It's not going to get a lot of views right now. And to be completely honest, you know, I just don't feel comfortable being paid after doing all the work. What if I send the video to you guys and you don't accept it? And I already did all the writing and scripting and playing the game. And you say, no, you gotta change this and that because it's offensive. I don't know. Oh. And I told him, if your game includes political bias or agendas, I said this, you know, I will criticize that. I will point that out and criticize that, you know. So I don't feel like writing a review for a game that may have political bullshit and that I'm gonna get paid for in like in a month and a half. What if the video fails, you know, or gets shadow banned because it's political and I'm attacking it and YouTube doesn't like me when I do that? And they say, oh, you know what, Eric? This is not gonna work. Of course it's not gonna work, asshole! Thank you, Brian. Kingdom Come Deliverance is a great game. It's not a JRPG, but they refused to bend to the woke people that demanded they inject politics in it. They just made the game historically accurate. Okay, so I'm gonna look it up. Kingdom Come Deliverance. Oh, there's 2 games already. Oh, I know, I've seen this game. Yeah, I've seen this game before. Yeah, I've seen this game before. I haven't played it, you know, but I've seen that cover before. But this was released a long time ago. Are you talking about the sequel, maybe? Because this was released in 2018. Mafias were barely a thing. Oh, the sequel on April 2024 was announced, later postponed to 2025. Okay. Okay, I haven't played it. Maybe I will to support it. Not like you're known for reviewing indie JRPGs. Brian, I do a lot of indie RPG reviews. I just don't do them in one video. I usually review them in top 10s or in top 5s. And I've been reviewing a heck of a lot of indie JRPGs since last year. Yeah, I've covered a lot, man, but there's barely any, like, one video review based on just one indie game. No. Because I already tried that, you know, I did it with Mato Anomalies and the video failed miserably. So it's always better to include those games in, like, a top 10. And people pay more attention to those. I'm pretty sure even some developers or publishers have appreciated the fact that I included their game in a top 10 than in a regular review. Because maybe the top 10 is gonna get like 20,000 views versus 5,000 views the video review is gonna get. So they rather be on the 20,000 views video, right? You know what I mean? That's how I feel, you know. I don't know. I'm not a publisher. I stick to my guns. Looks, of course I do. Not enough black people in it. Why don't they just create games with black people? Without, instead of altering or inserting them, just let it come naturally. If you want to create a game about bisexuals, just fucking do it, but do it from scratch. Don't write a script and then let fucking publisher, come and change it all, that's unacceptable. I haven't played Arabian Nights for the SNES, but I will consider it for my channel, streaming it. Definitely. I want to stream Slayers. Slayers is a turn-based RPG on the SNES, and I want to stream that. Yeah. They don't have the creativity to do that. Yes, they do, but they've done it before. I've seen some games, that, they created characters like that, out of free will. And I don't like them, but I respect that. That's much better than letting your fucking evil company destroy your script and inserting politics and make a point about politics. This is not the first time someone's offered me money before. Nintendo did with Paper Mario, the remaster. And the same. Like, oh, we're gonna pay you this, but it's gonna be like 2 months later. Oh, but you live in Mexico. We can't pay you. Even if they paid me, my review will still be the same. If there's something to rant about, I will rant about. If it's got politics, I will criticize the politics. That's what happened with the Euden Chronicle. and I told him that. I was like, you're gonna send me your game? Fine. If it's got any political bullshit, I will point that out. But they didn't pay me. They just sent the fucking game. What's the difference between Tencent, Moonton, and Garena? I have no idea. I don't even know what Tencent is. Some kind of investor? Me too, smiling dog. Me too. But a fan translation, not by Atlus. Woke Atlus USA, no. I want like a fan translation. A paid review is not a review, it's a sponsored video. It is, but I'm just saying that if a company paid me to review their game, I wouldn't change anything. And I wouldn't alter anything. Like, I'm gonna do my video even if you weren't paying me, and here it is. You don't like it, kiss my fucking ass, but pay me at least, With the success of Black Myth Wukong, what would you like to see from the Chinese gaming industry going forward? Like more regular turn-based RPGs, for example, with no political bullshit. Just stop making open world games and like free-to-play. I know they're successful and there's a lot of fans, and no offense to any fans of these games like Genshin Impact and Zenless Zone Zero, but make regular turn-based RPGs, Create an IP or something, Compete against Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, Do that. That's what I would like to see from China. Not just China, all other people in the world, Leave politics aside. Here's your game. Turn-based RPG or strategy RPG, whatever, and yeah. The Persona 3 Reload translation is kinda woke. Unfortunately. It's toned down. It wasn't that altered. It's just toned down. Some words may have been changed because they are offensive. And there's an entire scene that got completely altered about a transsexual on the beach. That the characters meet and run away from. So that was so fucking offensive that they changed the dialogue of this character so it wouldn't be offensive anymore. So, yeah. I still gave the remake a really high score though. But I don't know if I can safely recommend it. Oh, the Legend of Dragoon remake or sequel? That's an old question I haven't gotten in years. No, I think it should be left alone. Maybe just a prequel of Legend of Dragoon. That's it. Remake? Nah. I'm not interested. Okay, so we're gonna do the Versus episode now. And today we've got Odin Sphere, any version, versus Valkyrie Profile, any version. Why? What do these games have in common? This is an action RPG. This is a turn-based RPG developed by different people. Well, the similarities are that they both revolve around the Norse mythology with Valkyries and the Ragnarok War and all that jazz. And they both play completely in 2D. That's all they got in common. But the Norse mythology, the Valkyrie stuff, that's what they got in common. Any version, people, it's not just these two versions. If you played that version, the remaster, or if you play Valkyrie Profile on the PSP or PS4, PS5, these games are almost everywhere nowadays, except on Switch. I don't know why, but they're there. They're also not on Steam. So, let's begin with the quest. Valkyrie Profile versus Odin Sphere. Any versions? Valkyrie Profile Odin Sphere. In fact, I'm gonna do this so to avoid confusion. PS1, PSP, PS4, PS5, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS Vita. So any version, there you go, start poll. Even Leonid, any version. I don't know what's gonna happen. I think Valkyrie Profile is going to win, but that game is not that accessible. Odin Sphere is more accessible because it's the action RPG. Everybody can jump into it, especially the remaster. Whereas Valkyrie is like you need a guide. It's really hard, but I don't know. It's got way more fans out there, I think. Gremlins! Anyway. Sure about that, Last Dragoon? I hold these two games on a really high standard. But I have my winner already. Well, Valkyrie Profile is winning. This verse is gonna be tough. Yeah, I think Valkyrie is gonna win. But we'll see. Where are the Odin Sphere fans? Start your arguments. Fucking bonk this music, man. Christ, Japanese voice actress died last week. I didn't know that. Rest in peace. I don't think I ever played any Valkyrie game in Japanese, so I don't know her. I don't think the game lets you choose the Japanese dub in Valkyrie Profile, any version, or Silmeria, So I don't remember who voiced Christ in the first game. In the second game, I don't remember either. I think it's Mary Elizabeth. No. Who voiced Christ in Silmeria? Anyway. Sora! It's rare to see you in the Q&As, man. You guys, your one-liners, I'm not reading them. Yum Yum says, Odin Sphere is so underrated that even my brother does not know the game. What? Okay. How is your brother that relevant for your argument? I don't know, but I respect that. I love the action 2D RPG out of it. It's one of the games I recommend to someone who's just started playing RPGs. I agree and disagree. I agree if we're talking about the remaster, anybody can jump into it, but the PS2 version I wouldn't recommend for beginners. It's too freaking hard. Signum says, both games are masterpieces. You're damn right. I choose Odin's Sphere because of Vanillaware's presentation. Valkyrie profile is great, but I hate having to look up a guide. Okay. Wow, look at the poll. Odin's Sphere is trying to crawl its way back up there. Me too, Athis Nissen. Yeah, I kicked my fucking ass so hard, I kissed the moons. But I still beat it twice. Proud of that. Brian says Odin's Sphere has absolutely gorgeous animations, and the simplicity of being able to just pick up and play is a hard argument to ignore. Another argument in favor of Odin's Sphere. Frankenstein says Odin's Sphere here. Valkyrie profile is great, but Odin's Sphere has got my attention because of its masterful 2D art style, and you could beat Odin's Sphere without a guide. Even the original version, that's right. Wow, is Odin's Sphere going to alter the fate of the poll? I haven't read a single argument in favor of Valkyrie. Care to enlighten us? Care to share why you voted for Valkyrie profile? Anything goes. Smiling Duck says, okay, for me, I choose Odin's Sphere because of its peak art style from George Kamitani, as always. The combat is still fluent even after many years, and the characters are quite interesting to play as. Okay. Athis says I prefer Valkyrie profile because of all the games with a shared universe. There aren't that many games, but yeah, they all take place in the same universe. It's a saga. But we're ranking the first game here, not the entire series. Well, we're talking about any version, man. Valkyrie profile or Odin's Sphere, any version. It's a saga, but it's not saga. Come on, man. Come on. Demi Kids, huh? We're listening to some Demi Kids. Mystery Kid says I choose Valkyrie profile. It has the better art style. I'm not a fan of Vanillaware's character designs. The story of Valkyrie profile is also better and very mature, dealing with death and grief, and the gameplay is very unique. Boof says Valkyrie profile story, character art, combat, and character progression mechanics are better than in Odin's Sphere in my opinion, and I also prefer turn-based. Respectable. 54-46. Sylvester says, for me, Valkyrie profile. I just love the battle system so much. In my opinion, it is far superior to Odin's Sphere. The story is really strong with both games. I will say it is equally as good in my opinion. Sleepy Gamer, really? Newcomb says, I voted for Valkyrie profile. I enjoy the story much more in profile. The combat with each party member being different buttons. Set up nice combos for max damage. Okay. What? Favorite bullet hell turn-based strategy RPG that I dislike? What? Nobody knows this, but this is from the original Mana. This music right now. This is from Adventures of Mana. It was called Final Fantasy Adventure here. I don't know why, don't ask me. Probably because Final Fantasy was huge. Hey, I only own this copy. I could have owned the PSP version too, but for a stupid reason I sold it. Shouldn't have done that. Should definitely have done that. Astro's Playroom. Okay. Can you tell me how to pronounce your name? Auxi? Is this Awixi? Awixi? Is it Awixi? Awixi? This is really fucking good. Isn't Silmeria one of your favorite games, Eric? It is. Nights in the Nightmare. Oh yeah, I don't like that game. Now, Valkyrie Profile is nowhere near as forgiving as Covenant of the Plume. Classic gamer. Alright, so Wixie says, I chose Valkyrie Profile because I like the art style more. The characters look cool in the world and the colors have this nice old comic book style. Strong contrasting colors. Donsk says my vote is for Odin Sphere. I love both with a passion, but I love more Odin. Better music in Odin, a bit better characters in Odin for me. The art in Odin is godlike, story is better in Odin for me, so everything is better in Odin for you, apparently. A few minutes left. How many votes are there? Like 60, 62? Alright, 55, 45? Yep. Covenant of the Plume. I aimed for the true ending in Covenant of the Plume. That was my biggest mistake with the game. And the game brutalized me. Play the game with the Mercenaries route. That's the easiest one. It's still fucking hard, but no, not as hard as some of the others. Ha 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 ha, the ladies. The ladies are gorgeous in Odin Sphere. What are you talking about? What the hell are you going on about? But Valkyrie has a lot of sexy ladies. Silmeria has sexier ladies though. Girls in faux full body armor, except her panties. Like Richelle, for example, some of the archers are like, okay, great armor. Huh. Where's part 2 of your argument, Wixie? I'm waiting for that. Man, this fucking song, man. Huh. This is a great game. It's getting a sequel, Astro Playbook. Part 2. Wixie continues saying Valkyrie Profile because the combat puts in a nice twist into turn-based style, and it's kinda exhilarating. Odin Sphere had also a good combat, but it's so hack and slashy, not that fun. Okay. Can we collect allies in Odin Sphere? No. You can collect them in Valkyrie Profile, but not in Odin Sphere. You only play as 5 characters and that's it. No other playable characters in the game. Praetor says Valkyrie Profile. There just isn't really anything else like it. And it's a great, unique concept that was executed very well, etc. Okay, etc. then. Brian S. says, I will still vote Odin Sphere. It introduced me to what became one of my favorite developers ever, and it's fun to pick up and play, always. Yeah, the stories are very good in both games. Very good. Almost there, 57-43. It's not that even, but Odin is trying. I wish I could vote though. I can't vote on my own poll. That'll be manipulation. You make a good point, Newcomb. But still, I mean, both games look fantastic. Kevin Lewis says Odin Sphere is a really good 2D hack and slash, but Valkyrie Profile was one of the first games to take place during Norse mythology, and the combat is innovative. Because while it's still turn-based, he's keeping us in suspense. Yes, I have played Sword of the Vagrant, and I fucking loved it. Of course, it's not as good as Odin Sphere, but it's great. I loved it. Res? I think I'm gonna have to skip this song because it has copyright. I'm a sucker for top special move attacks in Valkyrie Profile. It's not stupid, you know. I love Parasite Eve, the first one. The other two were like, but the first one is excellent. So Kevin continues saying, the combat in Valkyrie Profile managed to add in action RPG like combos in the mix, which can be really satisfying to pull off. Okay, one more vote and I'll close the poll. One more vote. Be that number 70. I like it when there's 70 votes. Dan says, the downer of Valkyrie Profile for me is the tribute system makes this hierarchy of units and makes people's runs really samey, especially when using guides. Odin gives you fun action mechanics which switch up. Interesting. Interesting. Take your fucking time, YouTube. What the fuck? What's going on? I ended the poll and the chat glitched up there. Fucking finally. The poll is over, everybody. Valkyrie Profile won with 55%. Odin Sphere lost with 45%. Well, I was expecting Valkyrie Profile to win by a landslide, but I'm happy to see a lot of people voted for Odin Sphere and that it made a lot of competition for Valkyrie. That's great. But Valkyrie Profile is a classic, it's more respected and beloved, so there's that. Even though Odin Sphere is much easier to jump into, Valkyrie Profile is just one of those, right? It's earned its place in history. And Odin Sphere too, but it still needs more time, maybe. Well, everybody, you're not gonna believe this, but I don't think I can make a choice. But my choice is gonna have to be based on gameplay alone. I am going to side just by a hair with Odin Sphere. I know I am one of the hardest diehard Valkyrie Profile fans out there, but I think Odin Sphere is a bit more fun to play. That's my only reason. So let's just compare everything else. In terms of story, they're both dark, mature, mythological for obvious reasons. They take place in the middle of a war, and there's a lot of tragedies involved. Both are tragic as hell, and obscure and dark, and I love that, and very mature. But I guess Valkyrie wins a little bit more because it's more serious, and you got a lot of things in Odin Sphere that make it those fantasy elements. The fantasy elements in Odin Sphere are a little bit more childish and colorful compared to the dark and kind of gothic ones in Valkyrie Profile. So it's just a matter of taste and preference. But I think the story in Valkyrie Profile gives room for more. However, whereas I do believe the story in Valkyrie Profile is better by a hair, we can't ignore the fact that there's not much interaction between Lenneth and the other and Einherjar she recruits, and once they have been recruited, they barely say they don't say any words anymore. There's no more interaction. Their whole little arc is over, and they're just there in your party, and that's it. Whereas in Odin Sphere, you continue to get this strong character development the whole game. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that in terms of story, Valkyrie Profile is better, but in terms of characters and character development, Odin Sphere is better. And in terms of graphics, they both look freaking beautiful, but I've said this in my podcast, and I've said this before many times, Odin Sphere is, in terms of graphics, it's my favorite video game of all time. It has the most beautiful graphics in history, for me personally. I love the graphics in Valkyrie, but I just fucking adore the graphics in Odin Sphere, so it wins by a landslide. Music, Valkyrie Profile wins. I think it's the best soundtrack ever composed by Motoi Sakuraba. I love Hitoshi Sakimoto, and I love the soundtrack in Odin Sphere, and coincidentally, I think Odin Sphere is the best soundtrack ever composed by Hitoshi Sakimoto. I know you guys are gonna say Final Fantasy Tactics, whatever, I prefer this one in Odin Sphere. It's fantastic, phenomenal. Watch my podcast. listen to it and you'll hear why I praise the soundtrack in Odin Sphere a lot. But Valkyrie Profile is so memorable, so fantastic, so it's got something about it that I prefer way more. It's just that overworld theme, freaking beautiful. Battle mechanics, I guess it's a bit of a tie. It's comparing an action RPG with a turn-based, even though the turn-based combat in Valkyrie Profile has some action to it. It's not 100% pure turn-based. You gotta click the buttons and do the combos, and then the special attacks, so that's a bit of a mix between action and turn-based. But it's mostly turn-based, right? Still, it's hard to compare because they're so different. But I will say this. When it comes to the original PS1 version, these two versions, the battle system in this version versus the battle system in this version, this one wins. Because it's just not as full as it's not full of obnoxious difficulty spikes and unfair and cheap ass moments as in this one. However, the battle system in this game or any other version, they're all the same version, versus the battle system in the remaster, I'm sticking with the remaster. Yeah, you know me, I prefer turn-based over action too, like many of you, but that was so rebalanced, refined, and perfected that it just wins by a landslide, I love the Valkyrie Profile turn-based system, but it feels greater to fight in there, because this version, any version, still has a lot of spikes and a lot of unfair moments and a lot of things that happen in there. Most of them are your fault, but there are some occasions where you're like, how is this my fault? And in the remaster is fucking perfect. Gameplay, also Odin Sphere. This is what I said at the beginning. In terms of gameplay, Odin wins. It's easier to jump into. It's more fun to play. Valkyrie, you need a guide. You're constantly worrying. You're constantly in a state of where the fuck do I go? What do I do? You're there in the overworld. You choose recruited one character, and you're like, oh, so what now? What do I do? It's one of those where the fuck do I go type of games, and I love it passionately. But Odin Sphere doesn't do that to you because it's more linear. I'm not saying Valkyrie's open world. It's not, but it's more linear. You kind of do need a guide. It's almost impossible to play Valkyrie Profile without a freaking guide. And you can do it though, and spend tons of hours just trying to figure out where to go until you finally do and the story progresses. But Odin Sphere doesn't do that to you. And I'm more of a linear type of guy when it comes to video games, okay? So, gameplay. And we could go on, we could compare, the stages. The platforming in Valkyrie Profile is... it isn't ass, but yeah. And the platforming in Odin Sphere, what little there is great, it's fantastic, right? The balance, it's better. Both games don't have any random encounters, but Valkyrie Profile is like, the encounters are kind of like getting in the way sometimes, and in here you just button mash your control and win. I guess Valkyrie Profile is the better game. It's more innovative, more strategic, more important to history, more respected, more unique. I'll give you guys that. It feels like, objectively speaking, it may be the better game, but I still like Odin Sphere a bit more, just for a hair. I hold these two games in a really high regard, really high standards, I am a massive fan of both. It hurts me actually to pick Odin Sphere, but it will hurt me to pick Valkyrie, so Odin Sphere wins for me just for like a small inch, and that's it. Leave your comments down below, your opinion, your votes, your whatever you want to say, and thank you for watching. That's all, guys. Telieresca and Logi, great music. Thank you very much for hanging out today in this Q&A. Thank you for voting. Odin Sphere is not my favorite game of all time. That is Chrono Cross, and you know that, Yum Yum. So, yeah, later. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care. Hope to see you in the streams from next week. And if I don't, then I'll see you next Sunday.